There you go.
Oh, thanks.
Hi folks and welcome to the Scotch Checker. Today joining us is Sandra Piller. As well as a world-class musician in her own right, Sandra is also the wife of Star Trek writer, producer and series co-creator Michael Piller. Thank you very much for joining us today, Sandra.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And we also have Maria and Bob joining us as co-hosts.
Hi, everybody.
Glad to be back.
Yeah. So Sandra, I wondered if we could ask the first question. How did you first meet Michael, and did you recall the first time you saw Star Trek or learned about it?
Well, I first met Michael at a Christmas Eve party of mutual friends. My mother was an actress, and she knew this couple. I knew the wife. So she said, every Christmas Eve they would have a party, and the same people would always be invited back. You only needed to be invited once. Well, she knew someone was going to be there that she thought I should meet. It wasn't Michael. Well, that guy ended up not showing up. Michael was there, and he saw me, and he started talking to me, following me around the table of food. And he said, well, I'm going away with my mom for Christmas to Mexico. Can I call you when I get back? I said, sure. I thought, yeah. He's taking his mom? Yeah, right. But he did. He took his mom.
Right.
And he called me after that, and it was history after that.
This is history, yes.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
We were loved very quickly.
Oh.
Yep, we were married within 6 months.
Wow. Yeah. Talk about love at first sight. Yeah.
It really was.
So, do you remember the first time you saw Star Trek or learned about it?
The first time I ever saw Star Trek?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. It was with the original.
Mm-hmm.
Michael and I were already married when he went to work on Star Trek. And he had never seen the original because I think he was in college at the time and didn't have time to watch television. So he was first asked to do a rewrite on the nanite script for Next Generation. And he thought he did a horrible job, but they loved it. It was the only thing they had ready to shoot. And so that was his first experience. I don't know how much you want me to go into that, but yeah, that was his first. Oh, before he started writing, they made him watch some of the key episodes of the original Star Trek, so he would know the premise better. But we'd been watching Next Generation for the first 2 seasons, and he already had those voices in his head. He knew those characters, so he was pretty confident about that part of it. But you know, he was a little nervous about doing his first sci-fi script, really, and space and all that. But yeah, it turned out great. And then within like a month, Maurice Hurley had left, and they said, Michael, come join us. You seem to be the only one in town that knows how to write this show.
Right.
That was like, wow.
So he wasn't a Star Trek fan before he started writing, like
just the first 2 years of Next Gen. He became a fan then. Yeah. Excellent. We were watching it every night as a family. We loved it. And his agent actually said, when they asked him to do the rewrite, said, don't do it. You've been a showrunner. Now you're going to go backwards on the ladder doing, like a freelance type of thing. You'll never run a show again. And Michael said, I don't care. I know these characters. I love the show. I really want to do it. So he went against his agent's advice and ended up running the show. So not that you should always ignore your agent, folks, but go with your gut.
Go with your gut.
Well, that kept him connected to the whole, sphere of Star Trek, which I imagine is a small group, tight network. So, and it allowed him, I mean, he was the showrunner of Deep Space Nine and Voyager, their first 2 seasons. And that had to require a lot of confidence because it was 2 shows that were basically post Gene Roddenberry. So it required a lot of trust, for producers to put in him. What was the especially for Voyager, which was also on a fledgling new network, UPN. What was the kind of pressure that was put on him to the first two seasons of any show are usually the most difficult because of putting together characters and storylines, and there's cast changes. What kind of influence did UPN's executives kind of have, if any, to make sure their flagship show was a hit? Because that was their whole premise with UPN, was that a Star Trek show would be their flagship effort.
Right. Well, it did work.
Yeah.
People loved it and watched. I was going to say something. I forgot what it was, but well, yeah, people loved it, and gosh, I can't remember what that was. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Was there any extra pressure there as opposed to with Deep Space Nine? Although Deep Space Nine was totally new territory as well.
Well, you were talking about the pressure. I don't, he had pressure all the time, but he kind of strived on the pressure. It was a good stress. It was this kind of stress that he was motivated with. But the biggest stress for him in the beginning was there were no writers on the show and no story ideas. And he was interviewing writers. That's how he found Ron Moore. Ron Moore was making a choice either to get this script picked up, because Michael had independent scripts being submitted by people other than writers. He was the first one ever in Hollywood to get that done. I don't know if you guys know all that story.
No, I don't know.
Okay. You can't
open submissions
write a
policy.
script for a show unless you're a writer in the Writers Guild. Well, he had no scripts, and he got permission to accept independent scripts from fans or whoever, not just a story idea, but it had to be a real script, complete. And then you submit it, and if they took it, in Ron's case, they took it. His story was he was either going to get this script picked up or he was going into the Navy. He got the script picked up, and that was
wow.
So that, I don't think they're doing that anymore. It was just for Michael, and found Ron. He met quite a few that way, but Ron's the one I really remember.
Right.
So that was a lot of pressure that first year of him, having. I mean, we had a typewriter back then at home. The old time you could hear it, and I'd hear it in my sleep, going, because he's up at 4 in the morning.
Right.
His ideas are fresh in the morning. It was a small house back then.
Right.
So,
and that
I
turned out
remember
to be extreme.
reading in the Fade In book about how he would try. He wrote how I try and sleep, but in the middle of the night he would wake up, and you just saying that, just type, like were there nights like that? Like he's like, Michael, go to bed, and then he would just going at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was up so early. He wasn't up late.
Right.
He was 10 o'clock.
Right.
Earlier if we weren't watching something. But it was his early mornings were his. He was fresh out of the. One thing that he told me, and I'm sure other writers have this, he would have an issue that he couldn't solve in writing a script. He'd thinking about it, and he'd go to bed thinking about it, and he'd wake up in the morning, and he had the answer. It's like, it happened more than once. He said, I can't believe my mind actually made this all work out while I was sleeping, and I don't remember any of it.
Wow.
I won't get the answers.
Right.
So, your subconscious can really work for you when it's motivated, I guess, or trained. So that was fun.
Right.
So when Voyager started, Michael was passionate about the alien species known as the Kazon, but many of the other members of the show's writing staff thought they were overused. Do you have an opinion on that?
I never heard anything about that.
Oh, right.
Sorry. I always say I wish I'd known to remember more.
Right.
But I don't think that ever, came up. He didn't. he didn't talk a lot about work at home.
Right.
Just once in a while, when something was exciting, like he would never go to casting, and he would never go to the set because actors would want their lines changed, and he just
Oh, that part drive me nuts. I wrote it this way.
he hardly ever went to the set. But he did go to casting this one time when they were casting for the woman who, I always forget the name of the episode and everything. But Picard had to transfer her to where she was going to get married, and she had to stay in like a cocoon because she would have these
episode, yes,
fumes or whatever you call it,
right,
that would attract people, and then you would bond. And she started to bond with Picard. So in the show, but back to the casting, because this woman was supposed to be so extraordinary. Everybody was like, ooh, they said, we want to see who this girl is that they're going to cast.
right.
Who's this bombshell? That's better than everybody else in Hollywood, basically.
That's the episode with Frankie Jensen.
Yeah,
who was
the perfect
first
mate.
Trill. Yeah, she's
What?
No, she wasn't. She wasn't a Trill. The episode was called "The Perfect Mate."
Okay, maybe I'm mixing it up.
Yeah.
Was
But
it
she
The
had
Perfect
Trill-like
Mate?
spots. Yeah. That was.
I don't remember. I don't remember the spots.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, right.
I remember on Dax the spots, but I don't remember spots on this woman. But she just exuded pheromones, or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was one time they were excited about it. All of them went down to casting. It wasn't just Michael. I think they all went.
Now, I've seen
I
a few.
couldn't remember the actress's name. I'm so sorry. I always forget this stuff.
Frankie Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
okay.
did a great job.
Right.
I've seen like a few pictures of him on the set. For example, on the Borg set for The Best of Both Worlds, and while they were filming Insurrection. And regarding Insurrection, Maria mentioned
Yes.
that you've been selling the book about
Insurrection.
the making of that film. I wondered if you could tell us a bit about the book that Michael wrote about Insurrection.
About Insurrection? Well, he wanted to write something to give back and help other writers. When he was in college, he was in a writing class that the teacher just discouraged people that he didn't think would be good writers, and Michael was one of those. Made Michael quit the class, went into journalism. Later, he went back and realized he could do this, and now I've forgotten the main thing of my thought. What was the question again?
I just wondered if you could tell us about the book.
About making of Insurrection. So he wanted to give back. He wrote it, for that purpose, to show people how scripts are made, and there's rewrites, and just the whole thing, and how the ideas come, and what gets tossed and start over. Just the whole process. He just wanted that, and he had permission from Paramount at the time to do it. And later we got the licensing to release it after he passed. There was a whole problem with getting it released in the beginning, but we finally did. So yay! So hopefully we'll be making it more as soon as we sell out the ones we got.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Now, Michael had turned down the opportunity to write some of the early next-gen feature films until Insurrection, which like Maria, I'm a very big fan of, because just because of the tone of it, and it just was a beautiful story. Was there a reason why he didn't? Was there, like, he wanted to make just the right story and didn't have, or was there other reasons? Maybe he was busy with other projects or something.
Well, the truth that I know is that, first of all, Michael had been running these shows and writing them for several years. He'd proven himself. And they wanted to have 2 different writers write 2 different scripts, and then they would choose. And he felt that was an insulting. He didn't think he needed to be in a contest for that. And so he said, no, I'll pass. And I think Brandon and Ron wrote the first one, which is happy for them. But he just felt he didn't need to be in a contest to do this. So he backed off, and it came around. I don't remember if there was another one. I think that was the one.
Yeah.
And then after that,
There was a script by Maurice Hurley.
Oh, I don't remember the incident about that. I just remember that he didn't feel like he needed to be in a contest, you know.
Right.
He's already been running all these shows and creating them, co-creating them. And, you know, he didn't need to be in a contest.
Right, because that's why I kind of read online too about he was going to write a script, one of the 2 that was going to be used for generations, and so, you know, I recall that. So
Yeah. So that was one of the more unpleasant experiences. But you know, in every career, there's going to be something that happens that you know you don't like, but something better comes from that. Maybe you know you just have to.
Right.
It wasn't it. It goes to somebody else. It's good for them, and I'll get mine down the road.
What was his inspiration for Insurrection? You know, was there any key items that you know that he wanted to that inspired that story?
You know, I didn't really, other than what he says in the book, you know, they had ideas they had to tear up and start over. And other than that, he didn't really discuss it with me. It was pretty much in the book, you know. So
right. And can you show our viewers the book? Because you have a copy of the book.
I do.
So our viewers can see it. That is Michael Piller's book. And it's a really good book.
Yay!
So 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, you can get it on michaelpiller.net.
Okay.
And
Cool.
All right. Yeah, as Bob mentioned, you know, Insurrection is also one of my favorite Star Trek movies, because as a sociologist, I really enjoy like Michael got the soul of Star Trek. And that's what I really appreciate about Insurrection. Really, truly do.
Oh, that's great, because at the time, you know, it didn't make the money that they would have wanted to. And a lot of people didn't get it. But later they come back around and they go, you know, I didn't like it in the beginning, but I really do like it.
Yes, exactly. So kudos to Michael. Kudos to Michael.
Yay.
Yes. Yeah. And I want a question for you. So like as we mentioned before we got on the show, we were talking about Voyager, and you know, like he was like the showrunner of Voyager, and I wanted to know like how do you think Michael would feel about, because they're doing the funding to have the Voyager documentary. Okay, 2 questions. One, what would Michael's how would Michael be feeling about the amount of love his show that he helped create is almost at $1 million? The amount of love, you know, and like he has a big part of that, you know, like the amount of love that he is getting, you know, for what he helped create. And also, do you know of any like behind the scenes footage that he might have done that possibly could be used for the documentary?
Footage.
Yeah.
You know, I sent them some footage for the last one.
Right.
Not sure what they used.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember now what they used.
Right.
But I don't know that I would have any other footage.
Oh, okay.
All. And that was from a couple of independent video shows that we did about Star Trek. And he was a writer on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We interviewed him, and
Right.
did Bob, and we did, you know, Bob Blackman, the wardrobe guy, and Michael.
Right.
Westmore, the makeup. So we had 3 of those shows. I sent them that footage.
Right.
And other than that, no. And then you asked about
how would his feelings be?
So
The amount of love he's receiving.
Yeah, he would be very, very proud, and especially seeing how far the show has come. And when you think about when William Shatner was on Star Saturday Night Live, and come on, people, get a life. That whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, this show has gone on
Right.
forever, and I think it always will.
Right.
As long as it stays true to the principles of it.
Right.
Respecting other people, things like that. That we
Right.
should be doing more of ourselves these
Right.
days. It's a wonderful thing to have to live up to.
Right. And you've got to be proud, like the amount of love he's getting right now. The amount of love.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. No, I'm sure he's
Yes.
happy in whatever they have up there.
Right. Yeah.
Rolling in hay. I don't know.
Right.
So some of our viewers might not be aware that you are you regularly record and release music. I wondered, how did you get involved in making music, and has it always been one of your interests?
It always has been. I always sang, and when Michael and I got married, because I had 2 kids from my first marriage, I didn't have time to do any studying really. I did sing and all that. I started doing some singing workshops, and then I realized, gee, if I wanted to be an artist, I can't keep singing other people's music. I'll have to start writing. So I started writing and met people in Nashville. Jane Bach was the main one that I've worked with since then. And so yeah, I've been doing that. Country music, and mostly writing country music, singing it, and also my late mother-in-law was a songwriter, Ruth Roberts, Michael's mother. And so I rediscovered and discovered a lot of her songs that she wrote from the 40s to the 60s, and a lot of those artists of her time did them. And so I'm trying to bring those back. If you go to my website, sandrapiller.com, when you first open it, it's open to the page of her music.
Right.
And if you go to the drop-down menu to the country corner, then you get to my country music.
Right.
But some wonderful, she had Dean Martin sing her things, Doris Day. I mean, a lot. I won't go into all of it now, but I mean, I was shocked.
Right. And talking about like the music piece, who are your musical influences?
Oh boy. So many. I mean, in country, I guess, Stand By Your Man, Tammy Wynette, of course, Reba, of course, the Judds. Actually, when I was really starting to get into doing music, in one of the workshops, I was trying to do pop music. And they said, you have a country voice. And I thought they were nuts because I was born and raised in Los Angeles. But my mom grew up in Texas a lot. So I guess I picked up a little something from her.
You picked up a little twang.
And I started listening to the country music of what to sing. And I realized, I know Don't It Make Your Brown Eyes Blue. I know Stand By Your Man. From being a kid, Crazy. I thought, they are good country songs that I already know. Let me investigate. And so I went country, and then I started, going to Nashville and writing, and just developed from there.
Awesome.
And then I started playing the ukulele last year because I know, because I realized, I can't take my band with me online everywhere. So. So,
I was going to ask you about that with the pandemic. Has that afforded you an opportunity to, I guess, do more songwriting? Has that actually in some ways helped as much as it's been frustrating for performers not to be able to actually be before a stage?
Right. Well, I have been doing more songwriting because we can do things online like this, see each other. We've done some writers' rounds online. I did my birthday bash where people got up and sang, and then I go to open mic 3 nights, several days a week, nights a week. I do that. So there's a lot that, I probably do even more of than I did because I had to get up and get dressed and go. Here you can just put on the top half and here you are. You don't have to go anywhere. So I think it's been good, and there's been pluses and minuses to both situations, and you just have to be motivated to do something. I find myself, you get a little down some days in this situation.
Yeah.
Just do something every day, which is kind of what I always thought about with my music was, I had kids at home and a husband, and I couldn't go off performing yet. My daughter was little. And I thought,
Right.
I'll just do stuff that I can do now and every day do something, write a song, vocalize, something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always felt like it wasn't going to happen overnight. It never really does.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, this is just my path. I'll do it this way. And so enjoying it.
Well, I know with this situation, everybody, especially those musical performers, they feel like they have to practice and still keep it going. I know I have a neighbor a few blocks from here who once when I was walking my pups, I heard all this music and I thought, oh, somebody's blasting out like a radio or something, and was surprised to find that it was him. He was singing on the top deck of his home and before all his immediate neighbors, and gave like a free concert, and he did that a few times last year.
Cool.
So I thought that was really, pretty cool.
Yeah. I think more and more of the musicians are doing things like that, little impromptu things.
Right.
They want to do stuff too. They're, and even doing it online. So many are doing it online. It's just, we just need to
get out there. Yeah, exactly.
Find things to do.
Like with your music videos, because I'm always interested in like knowing the creative process behind it. Because I watch like your music videos, I Cross That Bridge, Days Like These, what was the creative process behind that? Like making those music videos. Like, did you have a lot of input, or was it more like your director, like, hey, like I'm listening to your song and I think it should go out like, kind of play out like this? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The two that you mentioned, Days Like These and the other one, Cross That Bridge.
Cross That Bridge, yeah.
My son, Sean, was the producer of both of those videos.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So he loved the songs, and, he pretty much came up with the whole storyline of it himself.
Okay, cool.
And those two. Now, since then, because of, money reasons and the whole, thing, we've started doing our videos with me not in them, but making them online. There's a I'm sure there's quite a few of these sites that you can go to. We go to dreamswork.com, and there's a whole section of videos that are already licensed. You don't have to pay licensing, and photos and things. So we've been doing it that way, in house,
right,
and GarageBand or iMovie and all that,
right.
So that's how we've been doing it now. But in the beginning, Sean did those two videos, and they were great.
Awesome. And I must say, I got misty-eyed on the Love Goes On video. I got misty-eyed. That was a very sweet video to your late husband. Very sweet.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a very nice video.
Yeah, Jane and I wrote that song, and I hadn't been to Nashville in a while since Michael passed, and I'd done the demo of that, and I went in to play it for he's gone now, Jack Clement, Cowboy Jack Clement, and we put it on, and I even forgot what song it was. I was just, and it came on, and I heard it, and I went, oh my God, and I just started crying because I'd been a little bit emotionally removed,
Right.
I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm crying in his office.
Right.
But
yeah.
So
but the video was very sweet.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And that sort of like leads up to a question that I had, which was, do you find that your memories of Michael Piller inspire some of your songwriting? Like, was that song inspired by your memories of Michael
that
Piller?
song was definitely inspired.
Oh, you listened to the lyrics, yes.
Oh, yeah. That was definitely right after he passed. A lot of those images came to my head.
Right.
So I wrote them all down, and then Jane and I got together and put it together. A little license. A couple of things, but so, and then the other ones that we put on there were love songs and different things that applied.
Right.
But the one was written together.
Cool. I think your son Sean also worked on Star Trek. Is that right?
He did. He had a couple of story ideas that they did. One was they were both Q. They were both with Qs. The first one was the Death Wish. He and his partner at the time, Antonia King, now had the story idea for that. They were both over at USC Film School together, and they had the idea. Of course, Michael was already in Star Trek, so Sean was, primed, and they came up with that, and that got picked up. And then in Voyager, Sean had another idea which followed up on that one, and the name of that was, I don't remember what the name of that was. The Blue and the Gray. The Blue and the Gray. The Blue and the Gray.
The Q and the Gray.
The Q and the Gray. That is
Q and the Gray.
Awesome. Sorry. The Q and the Gray. So those two were, connected, and those were his two entries into the show. That was his.
That's awesome.
It's so funny, when I went to one of the conventions selling the book, a woman came up to me and she had the Death Wish script. And she said, "Your son, Sean, wrote this. Will you sign it for me?" I said, "Me? Yes, you're his mom. And I took a picture and I sent it to him,
Oh, that's awesome.
I keep saying he and Rod have to work on something together. The two sons.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think they're talking. They've been talking for years, but nothing's happened yet. We'll see.
Right.
Come on, boys, let's do something.
All right.
And Sean also worked on Legend with Michael, didn't he?
Yes. Yes.
I wonder if you could
That
speak about
was the first show that Michael did after he left Paramount, Star Trek. Sean and Bill Dial wrote that, and so that was Sean's first foray into the business side of it, other than the script thing that he did. But yeah, and the thing about Sean too was he was young, obviously in his 20s, and Michael and Bill were getting into in their 50s. And, that's a time in Hollywood for many writers that people don't want to hire them anymore. Around that time, we were watching something about some of the writers that had been on MASH for all those years, not get a job, lost their home, lost the age of 50. Are you kidding me?
Jeez.
A lot of things need to change. People live longer than 50 these days, folks, and
Right.
to keep going. So that was making Michael very paranoid, and they were very happy to have John join them because he was the young one in the group that could maybe, help them. Fortunately, they didn't have to depend on Sean.
Right.
The writing was good enough and people believed enough. But 50, come on. That's crazy.
This interesting, because I really thought that only actors and actresses would get the age, like discrimination. I'm surprised to hear about like writers also as well. Yeah,
because the young people running the studio now don't think that these older people can relate to the new young people. Sorry, that doesn't go for me. Experience. They've all been young.
Right.
They have experience. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to both, and that was that situation. And I'm sure it still applies in the back of our minds, somebody's mind. We need new blood. I get that. I get it. But combine them. Don't fire the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Combine them. Help each other. We do that in songwriting all the time.
Right.
fun to bounce your ideas off of other people. And
Exactly. The collaboration process is the most beautiful thing, you know,
really
and
is.
not to get all preachy, folks, but like just to be able to bounce around ideas and like something like you'll have a piece, another person will have a different piece, bring it together, and you can create something like super awesome, you know.
Exactly. And it may end up going in a direction neither one of you figured out, but that's what came of that collaboration.
Right.
Found a better script, you know, or
Yeah.
a better song, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about who's right and it's about what's right for the song, what's right for the piece.
Right. Exactly.
We had a great line in a song we just wrote the other day, but we couldn't make it work in the song, in the verse. So we went, wait a minute, we'll put it in the bridge. We moved those two great lines out of where we were trying and moved them to the bridge. It worked perfectly.
See,
From
there
the
you
bridge,
go.
it led right back to the chorus.
Mhm.
Great.
Right.
Sometimes you have to lose a great line to make the song work.
Exactly.
You could do both in this case.
Right.
So
And you
thank
see
you
that
very
with
much
the
for
Scripts too.
Sorry.
Sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
it works for scripts too. Thank you very much for coming on today, Sandra. It was
Oh,
great to
thanks for
speak to you.
having me.
Thank you so much, Sandra.
Yeah,
and thank you so much for sharing your memories of your late husband. You know, I greatly appreciate his work and I always will treasure it. Always.
Oh, thanks so much, Maria, Dan, Bob.
Yes. Right.
And good luck to you with all your musical endeavors.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your musical, your musical background too as well. That was great to hear.
Oh,
I'm going to
thanks.
listen to
Thanks
some
so
of that
much.
later today.
Yes.
Yay, yeah. Listen to Ruth's stuff. Oh, some of them. I'll tell you one. What time does the sun go down? It's a great song. And you can hear the original artist. The original artist was Lonnie, Lonny, Sattin.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard him do it, I just couldn't believe I'd never heard this. I couldn't believe she even wrote it. I was like, oh my gosh. So I recorded it. You can hear my recording and you can hear his.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was fun.
And before we wrap up here, Sandra, can you one more time show our viewers the book of the Michael Piller and where they can buy it?
Okay, you can buy it at michaelpiller.net.
Okay.
Can you see it? Oh.
Yeah, we can see it. Yep.
Yay.
And it's a great book, folks, you know.
Very nice.
Yes.
I have a hard time reading it because I actually hear his voice.
Oh.
Every word.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
emotional to
Stop.
read it.
I have to read so far and then I have to stop.
Right.
Then I can go back to it. But
Yes.
so you guys, if you're reading it, those are his words. And if you listen, you would be hearing his voice.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Sandra, so much for joining us today. It was a great pleasure having you on the show. And everybody, please like and subscribe to the Scotch Tracker. Smash that like button.
Smash it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Trying.